Okay, class, let's take a look. Okay, okay, basically, I was still in the chapter 3. We are about to finish. So remember, in the very beginning, we talk about explaining at stage 1, explain the difference in the type of people undertake the path. Then secondly, is regards this how the elements make up the path, which is what you see, dependent origination and the Four Noble Truth. Okay, so we go to stage 3 is regards defining the noble path and the path to cessation as embodied by the three training and noble eightfold path. Class, we finished the three training. Today we begin with the noble eightfold path. Okay, so we begin with the right mindfulness, right view in the first place, right understanding. Okay, Sally, check for me. It is correct, my bookmark. We stop here, Sally. Correct, So right understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So after finish the Four Noble, the Eightfold Path, we finished everything already. Yeah, Yokwa, can you please read the passage? Right understanding.
Right understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Right understanding also means insight into the Four Truths. Knowing the Four Noble Truths as they are, one should service accumulation and practice the way, and should realize the extinction of the pain of confusion. For from extinctions one realizes nirvana. The essentials of the world transiting ways of reparations are dependent, origination, and the doctrine of the Four Truths. In addition to the right understanding of dependently originated accumulation and extinction, the sutra emphasizes the right understanding of the Four Truths. A true understanding of the Dharma of dependent originations of transmigrations and extinction relies upon causes that arise and become extinct. But this is not a hollow contemplation of cause and effects or of extinction and emptiness. It is rather an understanding of conditioned existence. Ignorance causes action and so forth, and of conditioned non-existence. The extinction of ignorance leads to the extinction of action and so on. From the standpoint of the middle way and the contemplation of the illusory and conventional nature of dependent origination, one should truly realize the certainty of the mutual dependence of cause and effect and enter the holy stage of leaving confusion behind and realizing the truth. The Four Truths are also concerned with cause and effects. Suffering comes from accumulation. The realization of extinctions relies on the way. These are the two sets of the worldly and the non-transiting causes and effects. The object for investigation is still the real human life of suffering. From contemplating suffering, such as that of old age and death, and accumulation, desire, clinging, and so forth, as its cause, one realizes the truth of extinction. When accumulation is extinct, so is suffering. For example, one sees that what ignorance is extinct, and so forth. Age and death are also extinct. But how can one eliminate accumulation and realize extinction? By practicing the way. The way is the condition for realizing extinction and also a means to eliminate the accumulation of suffering. Knowing the Four Truths and knowing dependence origination are interrelated. The 12 links of dependent origination can be used to contemplate the Four Truths. For example, ignorance, the accumulation of ignorance, the extinction of ignorance, and the way to extinction of ignorance. These contemplations are described in the sutras as the 44 wisdoms.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, these three passages are still introducing and repeat what we learned before actually. But here, what we see, the point is the 44 wisdom. This is quite important and crucial. Can you check for me which one sutra number 48, the reference? It's supposed to be for Samyutta Agama. It is correct. On the mic, please.
SA.
SA, yes, Samyutta Agama. Why I said that the 44 wisdom is so important. Okay, class, 44 wisdom is regards this. In Mandarin, we call it 44字啦。44字44字 is regard what? Because 44字the 44 wisdom is regards the Paticca Samuppada. And here, and also 44 wisdom is mentioned regarding the cause, And according to some sutra, without knowing well and thoroughly this part, the purification by overcoming the doubt, there's no way for you to realize the nibbana. So that's why it is so important for this. You can just highlight here is regarding what 44 wisdom is regarding the dependent origination. You have to know because the whole thing regards the dependent origination is about the cause. You see or not? The cause why our nama appeared, why our rupa will appear. So there's always the cause, and the cause can link from past life to the present life. So if without knowing the cause, it is no way for you to realize the nibbana. So this is so important, the 44 wisdom. Okay, so just now the three passage is not difficult. You see, there is a cause and effect. You see, suffering, the cause of the suffering, okay, liberation, and the way. You see, one is the worldly, one is the supramundane. Okay, what is the worldly? You see, the suffering, remember, is because we have the five aggregate. The reason is because of the ignorance. So this is why the world is established. See or not? Okay, but in order to go to the nibbana, nibbana is the cause. Nibbana is the effect, and the cause is what? Is the way. Eight noble path, four noble path, eight noble truth. So this is the way. But this, by practicing the eightfold path, leading to this is, we call it as a supramundane or supramundane cause and effect. So there is a mundane cause and effect, worldly cause and effects. Another one is a supramundane cause and effect. Wait, supramundane in English is okay. Let's see. Worldly. Let's see. Okay, one is the worldly, supramundane supposed. The world transcending. Okay, one is the worldly, the other one is the world transcending cause and effect. Okay, then you see well, it's also try to repeat how can we just stop this reincarnation? We can stop it just by stopping the ignorance, because this is the cause. So we eliminate the cause, then all the effect will gone. Okay, so this is how they repeat the same thing. Okay, let's see. So no much thing. You see, existence, you see, ignorance causes the action, you see. So meaning to say that one, the extinction of the ignorance will lead to the extinction of the action. So this is so important. Maybe again, if you ask, what is the ignorance? What is the definition? Okay, class, if let's say you go to the meditation center to learn the meditation, they have their own way to interpret it. So they will tell you the method you must practice until to the jhana. From the jhana, you start to do the vipassana. Once the vipassana, you attain to the light of wisdom. The light of wisdom by observing the anicca, dukkha, anatta for the nama rupa, then is considered if let's say thoroughly, then it can be it will be leading you to the parinibbana. Then at that time you are overcome the ignorance already. That by no way, by if totally ignorance gone already, there's no more reincarnation. So remember, ignorance are just like the dark cloud to cover your eye, so make you see nothing. Once you, remove the dark cloud, then you are able to see everything. Then meaning to say that you are liberated. Just because the eradication of the ignorance. So next paragraph. Yeah, SJ, can you please read the passage? The right understanding, yes.
The right understanding of dependent origination is therefore also the wisdom that comes from knowing the fourth truth. They differ in that dependent origination emphasizes vertical connections and the fourth truth emphasizes horizontal classifications. When the Buddha first turned the wheel of the Dharma in Deer Park for the 5 bhikkhus, he taught the doctrines of the fourth truth, also called the Dharma wheel of the 3 turnings and 12 processes, which clearly illustrated in depth the sequence of the fourth truth. At that time, the Buddha first pointed out the nature of suffering, accumulation, extinction, and the way. This should be clearly differentiated with detailed instructions. It is not only necessary to know what suffering is and what the causes for the accumulation of suffering are. One must also know that suffering necessarily comes from accumulation, that with accumulation, there must be suffering. It is also necessary to know that suffering is real, and it is certain that there will be suffering. This first turning of the Dharma wheel, with its 4 processes that are the disciplinary application of the turning, enabled these 5 bhikkhus to understand and firmly believe. The Buddha further said that suffering should be known, it should be profoundly understood and recognized, because only if one profoundly understands that the world is by nature oppressive will one wish to renounce the world and seek liberation. Accumulation should be severed. If it is not, it will engender suffering, and one will be unable to live birth and death. Extinction should be realized. This alone is liberation. The way should be practiced, for without such practice, one cannot put a stop to accumulation and realize the truth of extinction. This was the second turning of the wheel, which urged people to know suffering, severe accumulation, realize extinction, and practice the way, thereby moving from knowledge to action and from action to realization.
Okay, thank you. No mind. Thank you so much. Big paragraph already. Okay, class, let's take a look. Basically, for this few paragraph, we mentioned 3 turning and the 12 process. Class, regarding this 3 turning and the 12 process is very famous, I mean, in our Buddhism, because this is the Buddha firstly, the first sermon, which is in the Deer Park in India. Deer Park in India. This is quite famous. If let's say you go to pilgrimage, quite sure they will bring you to the Deer Park because it's the first time in Varanasi, Buddha giving the speech. Okay, and the content is regards what? Is regard this 3 turning 12 process. 3 times 4 is equal to the 12. That's why 12 process. Because in the 3 turning, the first time, what Buddha trying to do is to point out the nature of the suffering and then tell them what is the suffering and the cause and how does it come from, okay? And it is the real one. So in the first sermon, basically they want to understand then and firmly believe that the Four Noble Truth is the real one. That's why if you deal with the Theravada devotee and they really go through the Nikaya, they are so emphasized the Four Noble Truths. That's the reason why. Because in the very early the teaching, they will start to tell you all this already. But for Mahayana, sometimes they due to influence by some minor texts, we will label them as a Hinayana. So they say, oh, don't study this. This is the Hinayana. So the old generation, they will interpret in this way. But nowadays, for the modern generation, we don't see them as a Hinayana. We see them as a 3 vehicle, as a fundamental for the Mahayana. If without this fundamental, finally, the building can be shaky, because the fundamental not strong, you see. Okay, so it's a number 1. The the Buddha again, second time, mentioned this again, you see. So what does it say? He say, accumulation should be, you say, you should know the severe, you should know the suffering, severe accumulation, realize the extinction, and practice the way. This is the second time again. Shakyamuni tried to emphasize, he said, cannot put a stop to accumulation and realize the truth of the extinction if, let's say, without the practice. So the practice is so important. This is the second time how Shakyamuni just to emphasize the Four Noble Truths. Okay. So now we go to the third time. Yongsin, can you please read the passage after that?
After that, the Buddha explained to his disciple his own experience. I have completely understood suffering, sever accumulation, realize extinction, and accomplish the way. In other words, from knowing, severing, realizing, and practicing the 4 truths, I've accomplished the great event of becoming liberated from birth and death and realized nirvana. Why do you not follow me and practice to accomplish these 2? This was the third turning in which the Buddha used his own personal experience as proof to strengthen his disciples' determination to believe, understand, and practice. The doctrine of the 4 truths as taught by the Buddha does not exceed the Dhamma will of the 3 turnings and 12 processes. When disciples practice the doctrine of the 4 truths, they should first really know what the truths are. From them, from their casual interrelationship, from their certainty, the reality of suffering, and from contemplating the dependently originating accumulation and extinction, one will know the impermanent transmigration and extinction that are without self. And from this knowledge, one will realize the profound truth. If one can understand them in this way, as they really are, one will know that accumulation must be severed, that the way must be practiced, and the extinction of suffering born of confusion must be realized. Following right knowledge and understanding with right action, one will eventually reach the stage of being beyond learning, which means one has already understood, already severed accumulation, already extinguished confusion and suffering, and already practiced the way. Due to the extinction of suffering and accumulation, one attains nirvana. As for knowing and understanding the four truths as they really are, this raises questions about attaining the way and seeing the truth. What does a person need to see in the four truths to attain realization? Because of the differences in fundamental natures and in methods of practice, students of Buddhism are divided into two schools: the school of gradual understanding and that of sudden understanding. The practice of the school of gradual understanding entails contemplating the four truths and the 16 processes and relying on the 16, sometimes described as 5 minds to see the way. Such was the view held by the Northwest Indian school of thoughts. The South Central Indian school of thoughts held the view of sudden understanding. That is, they understood the truth of extinction in order to attain the way.
Okay, thank you so much. Yong Xin, congratulations to you. Totally no American accent. Yes, you have been successfully localized. Yeah, I didn't realize that you studied in US before for 3 years and stayed there. Totally without any, we don't even see any clue there. Yeah, so congratulations, not condolence,
My Chinese root very strong.
Yes, if you're born there, then you come here, then will be different already. So it's easy for you to go back like Malaysia, speak very Malaysian already. Okay, let's digest this 3 paragraph. Okay, class, let's take a look. Basically, the teaching of the Buddha, you see here, according to the Buddha, he said, I already completely understood suffering, severe accumulation, and realized the accomplishment. So meaning to say that in the third turning, Shakyamuni tried to use his own experience to prove that, so that the disciple should be determining to believe, understand, and practice. That's why we will need 3 turning, 12 wheel. 3 turning is make them believe, make them understand, and make them practice. Basically, this is the experience from Shakyamuni, because once she meditated under the Bodhi tree, okay, he enlightened, and he summarized that, oh, the 12 condition, dependent origination is the core for the teaching, for the enlightenment. So he tried, and the Four Noble Truths. So that's why he tried to repeat 3 times to the 4, to 4 of the bhikkhu. So this is so famous. 5 bhikkhu, not 4 bhikkhu, 5 bhikkhu. This is so famous. So they are the first batch of the student who enlightened. Okay, next let's take a look. Okay, the doctrine for the Four Truths doesn't exit this Dharma wheel of the 3 turning and the 12 processes. Okay, then from here you see they should first really know that from the casual interrelationship and from their certainty regards the four noble truths. Actually, just same thing repeat with me. But okay, here is the experience from the Shakyamuni, that because he already understood it, he already severed the condition accumulation and already extinguished it and already practiced the way. So he keep on mentioning that. So you see in Theravada, why the devotee, they are so confident for the Four Noble Truths. Basically, if they are not just just simply go to the temple, do working only. If they really go to the Dharma, they are very confident with the Four Noble Truths, because this type of text keep on mentioning. It's showing that Buddha go through the Four Noble Path and then he realized. But anyway, for this Four Noble Truths, or maybe the definition for the Eightfold Path, different school, even though in Myanmar and Thailand, in meditation or academic, they would still interpret differently. The reason is in the Buddha time, is about 2,000 years ago. At that time, Buddha give the teaching, but very simple only, okay, in a very simple way. So after Buddha Parinibbana, they noticed that, Mahakashyapa noticed that a meeting is very necessary to compile what was the Buddha teaching. So he called up 500 bhikkhu who already enlightened Arahant, so they start to do the compiling. So some will speak up, oh, I remember what Shakyamuni said. Okay, so everybody agree. Okay, so Ananda will record in the heart. Okay, so one by one. So in a very privileged stage, according to some academic study, and we believe that the gist during the first meeting is regards the Yun Chu Jie Gen Di Yuan Qi, 5 aggregate, okay, Yun Chu Ayatana, and the Dhatu, okay, and Four Noble Truths and the 12 condition. They are the main core. At that time, because everything is in, Ananda have to memorize it. It's not in a very comprehensive way. It's very simple, and the way is very easy to understand and to memorize. So at that time, Ananda try to have some disciple and teach them, you see. He start to teach them. But as time getting longer and longer, the Buddha decided, because everything is in the brain, so they will input certain thing inside to the, to interpret the Four Noble Truths, what they memorize, you see. Once they go, you see, class, you have to remember, like just now we mentioned, we got accent, right, you see. When the English go to the different country, we see different accent, just like the Chinese. Okay. Likewise, to the Buddha teaching, 2,000 years ago, when the Buddhism is spreading, wholly dependent on, let's see, they're fully dependent on the human, you see. Okay, but people, they start to migrating, okay, from the area around the Ganges River. Then they start to go everywhere, you see. Okay, so once they wherever they go, they will stay there and they will integrate with the culture locally. Okay, so finally, they have their own way to interpret it. How we know that is because once the writing is start firstly introduced, they notice that purely memorizing is easily to make a mistake. So everything they write it down. So that's why once they put the words down already, different schools have the different own text. Nowadays we try to compare, we'll see the difference. So the difference, it means what? It means because their ancestor, the monk already stay in a different area with a different culture, okay, and also with a different meditation experience, it come out differently. Just like English, not American, British, Malaysia, even Singapore, we can see some difference already. Okay, so that's the reason why the teaching is so different between different countries, even though we share the same idea for the Four Noble Truths and the Eight Noble Paths, you see. Okay, here there's a controversial issue here is regarding the gradual understanding and the sudden understanding. Okay, let's make it simple. Okay, class for the Four Noble Truths, if they are the sudden understanding, meaning to say that one moment they realize the parinibbana, the pala and the magga, the pala is one consciousness only, but one consciousness is already contained all Four Noble Truths. So that is we call it as a sudden understanding. Okay, whereas the other school, according to experience, one chitta is not enough. One chitta is not enough to realize everything. They have to realize it gradually. So we call it as a gradual understanding. Make it simple. Let's take a look to the diagram. You see, okay. According to the Buddha's teaching, you see, one moment of the pala, magga, we call it as one moment of the magga. Is already enough to realize. For the sotapan, it's already enough to make them to totally cut off some defilement, you see. Okay, and also in one moment is already enough to contain all the wisdom there, you see. So that is the meaning here. Okay, class, since I don't have the Abhidhamma in English, quite hard for me to explain. Now you see, this is the meaning here. Class, this is the magga, this is the pala. Magga is one consciousness only. For one consciousness, for the graduate school, one consciousness, it can contain all the Four Noble Paths. Okay. Whereas for the graduate school, it doesn't go through one consciousness. It had to be more than one consciousness in order gradually to realize that. Class, for this, we call it Northwest Indian, is the Sarvastivada. Please write it down, Sarvastivada. This is the school. So this is the Sarvastivada, Northwestern school. Yes, this is the one. Sarvastivada, this is the Northwestern school. There in the Northwest is about in Pakistan and Afghanistan nowadays, or Kashmir. They're very influential in the Northwestern part of India. Basically, the Sutra and Abhidhamma brought back by the Xuanzang mainly originated from Sarvastivada school. The rest of the school are almost gone already. Why we know that? Because at that time in Indian, they got so different many school, right? They will criticize to each other, in Indian, because we see so many school, right? But they will criticize to each other, see. But once they criticize to each other, they will root it down in the text. So nowadays from the text we know that this school criticized this school. We know that actually this school exists. Even though we don't see the sutra anymore and no more sangha member anymore. So you see, everything if written down, I mean, it can we can from there to trace back 1,000 years ago what is happening. But for Theravada, all the text mentioned just one school only, Toya Timsa. So we don't see any other school element inside. But in Mahayana text, yes, our Tripitaka contain many school controversy. We understand it can help us to, trace back what happening. Just a clue to provide us to trace back what happening 1,000 years ago. Okay, so that is the northwest part lah. Then some more is a south center lah. South center school. Let's see, they are more on the subtle enlightenment. Northwestern is the gradual. Sorry, northwest. They are the gradual one. South center India. Let's see. South center is more Andhra Pradesh. Is here, is it? Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh, they are more famous for what? Is for Mahayana. For Mahayana. This is the southwest school. Southwest. South center, sorry. Okay, next paragraph. Yes, Sally, can you please read the passage? This is, of course,
This is, of course, an ancient argument.
Sorry, Sally. Never mind. Time's up already. Okay. This is a controversy issue, but basically this controversy issue, why we know that? Because this is stated in one of the sutra, Tapiposalun. Because the author, he know it very well. You see. So this is the sutra. Let's take a look. Tapiposalun. Please write the Sanskrit lah. Yes, this one. Please write down Abhidhamma Mahavipassana Sastra. The author know it very well. So from this Sastra, they know, oh, there's some controversy issue there. So he bring up the issue lah. But anyway, you just roughly understand, oh, this thing happening, they will be good enough already. Okay. Mandarin is Da Pipo Salun, Chinese. It's about 200 volume, brought back by Xuan Zhuang. But sadly to say that because a lot of controversy involved, basically even within our monk, we don't really recommend it. We rather recommend the Theravada school, like Abhidhamma we are learning now, because it's more simple, not much controversy. What you learn, you can try to transform from the knowledge to the experience. But for this sastra, well, after you study, end up you'll be very good in debate. But you quite hard for you to use it for do the meditation. See or not? So that's the reason why it is not common within our Sangha community. See.